It might be 2 years away, but the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup unveils their sites and venues for the tournament. Is the NHL really trying to expand again? Per Commissioner Bettman, 6 new cities are on the market for a potential expansion franchise. Diamond Sports Group strikes deals with 3 Major League Baseball teams as spring training gets underway in just a few days. And is Roger Goodell dodging questions and media members at the upcoming State of the NFL address before the Super Bowl next Sunday? All that and more as Press Row goes live right here and right now. This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information. Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back onto Press Row here, live from our home studio in San Diego, California, on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. Our first show in a couple of weeks on this Monday, February 5th, 2024. Callan McClurg back with you here from the home studio in San Diego. Wanted to first and foremost, folks, apologize for the very long delay that we've had getting our program back on the air and live to you here on C2C. Been battling some dental procedures, been battling some illness, and then battling technical difficulties because of a very wet, soggy, and rainy Monday here in Southern California here today. But of course, folks, action-packed program, 4 very, I think, great topics here today for us to pick and choose on here again here on Press Row. We talk all things involving the biggest news of the sports day, but from the angle of the sports business and sports media perspective, with lucrative deals and all that sort of stuff that does take place. But of course, we welcome your input again, questions, comments, or concerns. We'll do our best to read those live via our live chat box on Facebook or on our YouTube channel here today. The first of a triple header of network shows here on this Monday afternoon and into Monday evening. With that in mind, folks, on to our first topic. Again, it was announced yesterday, and we're still a long 2 years away, but the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup being hosted by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico unveiled the stadiums and venues and some important dates for Mexico, Canada, and Team USA's first game, including where, in fact, the 2026 World Cup final will be held. With this in mind, folks, and this is the first of its kind here, a 3-country bid submitted between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, with stadiums across the West region, Central region, and the East region, which includes, folks, a new tournament format with a larger field of teams. 48 teams will now qualify, as opposed to 32, for 104 total matches during the 2026 World Cup. Let's first, folks, dive into the venues and stadiums first that will, in fact, be World Cup host venues in 2026. Again, out here on the West Coast, it'll be SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, Lumen Field in Seattle, and BC Place up in Vancouver, British Columbia. In the Central, Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Kansas City, Missouri, Mexico City, Mexico, and Monterrey, Mexico will all host in the Central. And out east, it'll be Atlanta, Boston, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, and Toronto will be the Eastern-based cities that will host games in the 26 Men's World Cup. Again, the tournament field will expand from 32 to 48 countries, and that means a bigger footprint of games, 104 games total. Mexico's first home match will take place on June 11th at Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, Mexico. Team Canada will play on June 12th at Rogers Center, or at a BMO Stadium, I should say, or BMO Field, I should say, in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And Team USA will play their first game as well on June 12th at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. And the World Cup final will be held at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey on July 19th, with the third place game being played at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. I do know, folks, that it's a little bit weird probably for a lot of us sports fans to, I think, start getting excited for an event multiple years ahead, like the Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles, or even in this case, the host sites being put out for the Men's World Cup 2 years still away here in 2026, with venues across the U.S., venues in Mexico, venues in Canada. Again, the first time that I can recall that we have seen a triple-hosted event of this magnitude coming to fruition. Larger tournament field as well. More games are going to be played. There's been some talk about maybe the rest period being a little bit not quite there at this rate for some teams. Again, Mexico, Canada, Team USA will have their first games respectfully within a day of each other. Again, Mexico will play at Estadio Azteca in Mexico City on the 11th of June. Canada and Team USA will both play on the 12th of June, respectfully at BMO Field in Toronto and at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California on June 12th as well. And again, I think the one story that we did talk about, I think, way back before the sites were even announced was about the final. Because I know that there was a lot of work put in by the Dallas Cowboys in AT&T Stadium to fix or at least renovate the field level due to the nature of FIFA and their field mandates. SoFi Stadium did not want to budge on that, and they chose not to host the final. I'm a little surprised, though, that it's going to be in New York, New Jersey. Maybe for the fact of weather could have been a factor. Dome Stadium in Arlington, they made the necessary changes. Both teams are making the necessary changes to basically adapt their stadium to make it soccer applicable. The Cronkies were very stubborn about that, and they did not want to do that for the final. But I will say, folks, though, this is obviously going to be, this is huge in 2 years here. However, does anyone notice the trend that I've talked about here at all? There's a hidden trend here with some of these American-based stadiums. Now, let's look, obviously, at Mexico. Guadalajara, Mexico City, Monterrey, 3 big Liga MX clubs play down there. Estadio Azteca, rich in soccer lore, has hosted NFL Mexico City games there. The reputation that Estadio Azteca gets, where it boils down to the fans being out of control, the barbed wire surrounding the supporters sections and the hooligan sections. Just the thought, though, of Estadio Azteca. Guadalajara, again, big name club with Chivas Guadalajara playing down there. Club Monterrey is always in the mix in Liga MX as well. So no surprise there with Mexico City, Monterrey, and Guadalajara. Canada, not much of a surprise either. Vancouver, BC Place, Olympic venue, big size stadium. Toronto, little surprised, though, that Montreal was not included on the list. Again, you had, Stadio Olimpico, where the Expos used to play. Again, maybe the venue's not up to tip-top shape for 2026, though. But Toronto, going to Toronto FC's home stadium, not going to Rogers Center or any other venue there. However, though, folks, let me, again, lay this on you. Let's look again at the American-based cities. Inglewood, SoFi Stadium. Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. Lumen Field in Seattle, AT&T Stadium in Arlington/Dallas, NRG in Houston, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where the final will be held, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Does anyone notice the trend here I'm kind of getting at? There's two things. One, obviously NFL-sized stadiums, SoFi, Levi's, Lumen, AT&T, NRG, Arrowhead, Mercedes-Benz, Gillette, Hard Rock, MetLife, Lincoln Financial. That's one of them. We have Americanized cities being picked because of stadium availability and by capacity. Because I think we all know, folks, June 12th, Team USA's first game against whoever at SoFi, going to probably be a sellout. When they go to Seattle for game 2 of the group stage, going to be a sellout. They come back to LA for game 3, going to be a sellout. So you had to have big enough venues. But does anyone else notice the other trend that I'm mentioning here, other than Americanized or American football stadiums? Look at that. They strategically picked venues and stadiums for one NFL size, as I mentioned. But look at that. They are putting the American stadiums in the same markets of Major League Soccer. What a concept. If you want to see soccer grow in America, along with the fact of Lionel Messi being here now playing for Inter Miami, what better way, though, for them to choose the American cities, along with Toronto and Vancouver? You are going to Major League Soccer markets to further help draw up interest in your sport. Bravo. And I absolutely love it. I love seeing, though, that you can try to grow a sport like soccer, who has had some great traction recently. Pre-Messi coming, now with Messi being here. And now you're further just helping out the American sports fan embrace the global game of soccer. Now, again, folks, I don't recall how it was, though, 30 years ago when I was born. But I know that the opening game of the 94 World Cup was sold out in Chicago at Soldier Field. And I think every game that was played was in a American football or NFL venue, but every game was sold out. Now look where we are now 30 years later, folks, where soccer probably was not quite on the radar 30 years ago, but now how MLS has exploded, how it has grown, even after the ways of contracting the league from 12 to 16 to 18 back to 10 teams for a bit, and how it's going to hit 30 clubs in 2025. And now the World Cup comes back to North America with this joint bid between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, and they strategically pick NFL stadiums in Major League Soccer markets. Inglewood, LAFC, 2 final appearances in the past couple years with a championship. The LA Galaxy, probably the biggest name right now in MLS with their 5 championships, away from the crosstown rivals winning it all in 2022. Santa Clara, the Bay Area, great soccer following for a long time with the Earthquakes and even back in the day in the NASL. Seattle, great soccer community, great fan base for the Sounders. Vancouver, Canadian market, Whitecaps have always drawn well up there. Dallas, Arlington, FC Dallas, home of the Soccer Hall of Fame. Houston, NRG, Dynamo, 2005 or 2007 Cup champs. Arrowhead Stadium, one of the first venues of MLS back in 96. Atlanta, unproven market, 2017 champs. Great fan base down there, selling out that stadium very often. Foxborough in Boston, original MLS market with the Revolution. Great fan base, though, again, not probably the best with them not winning a title, but again, great following of fans up in New England. Miami, getting back on their feet in MLS after losing the Mutiny or a Fusion back in the day. But again, Lionel Messi effect. Do you imagine that? Messi playing in 2026 and maybe, just maybe, playing a opening round matchup or a third place game or a knockout game in his MLS market. New York, New Jersey, Metro Stars debuted there in 1996. Red Bulls have played in New Jersey for a long time. Big rivalry between New York City FC and the Red Bulls. Finals match is going to be played there. Philadelphia, another pretty big unproven market. Went to the league final a couple years ago. Great fan base out there in the suburbs of Chester, PA, I believe. The fact that Team USA might be able to play on the date of the 250th anniversary of the DOI being signed for independence in Philly could be a thing. And then Toronto. Again, a little surprised that they did not pick Montreal. Toronto, though, MLS Cup champs fairly recently. I believe that BMO could be expanded to, I think, hold more people than what it would be. But those are the two main things. They have gone to American cities that have NFL-sized venues, but also went to markets where Major League Soccer is present in those cities, even up in Vancouver and in Toronto. And honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing how this will work, especially, I think, with SoFi, how they were in the running, I believe, to get the final, but the Crockies didn't want to budge on spending the money to redo the field-level suites down there for Rams and Charger games. I know that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys were going to make every effort possible to maybe get the final, but it's going to go to New Jersey on July 19th. If anything else, though, I'm actually excited, though, to see more teams get a chance to make the tournament. 32 teams right now. 48 teams will now qualify in 2 years for more games. I know that becomes a bit of a small concern, I think, though, for players with rest time in between matches. But travel factors, too. Again, like I said, though, Team USA will play 2 of their 3 group stage games in L.A., with 1 game in Seattle sandwiched around the games in Inglewood. So I think that might be one small blip on the radar to keep an eye on, though. But again, though, I think FIFA did a great job, though, with selecting the markets. And I think, though, it's rare that we put the words FIFA, great job, in the same sentence. I think we all know very well of the long, sustained history of the bribery that's gone on, the controversial decisions of the most recent World Cup going to Qatar, and the issues that were plaguing Qatar with human rights violations and gay rights. Grant Wall's very unfortunate, mysterious death during the tournament, like early in the tournament in Qatar, the stadium's being built out of shipping containers. And again, just a lot of controversy that, again, we all know as soccer fans or sports fans, that comes up every 2 to 4 years with either the Winter Olympics, the Summer Olympics, or, of course, in FIFA's case, about corruption. But I think this might be the one very rare time, folks, that we actually use the words FIFA, great job, in the same sentence. Again, because I think that when you look at the big board here, folks, especially to, I think, further get people behind soccer in America. Canada, I would even say, too, though. Mexico, it's life and death down there. I mean, having been to Mexico twice in my life to play international baseball, baseball and soccer are 1A, 1B down there. Soccer being number 1, though, but baseball pretty damn close, though. And I can recall, though, going around neighborhoods when we were going to our games in Culiacan and Mazatlan, every street corner was either a baseball diamond or a soccer pitch. But I think to further get soccer elevated in America, this was the right way to do it. Now, again, maybe it's more of like, well, play it safe. Look back at 30 years ago when he had the World Cup in the States, where it was Chicago, the Rose Bowl. I think Giant Stadium was a part of it. Like, maybe they went the safe route, maybe. Even then, though, you still, though, I think, are doing a great job, though, and a great service to fans by putting these games in the U.S. in NFL-sized stadiums, on top of the fact, though, too, they're in Major League Soccer markets. Now, maybe could have looked at like, well, test the market like in Phoenix or in Vegas or San Diego, or, you know, go to some other cities maybe who have a big enough stadium. But again, I think, though, you may have wanted to play it safe, though. But who's not to say, though, that maybe that San Diego or Phoenix or Vegas maybe will host exhibition games, or maybe even qualifying to get into the tournament come 2025. I know there's been some very small rumblings, if you trust Wikipedia, that San Diego and Snapdragon Stadium might actually host qualifying for soccer for the Summer Games in 4 years in LA in 2028. And it's been talked, though, too, of like BMO Stadium in LA, Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, PayPal Park in San Jose, Levi's, like all the big venues have been named, though, too, for the Summer Games, though. But I think, though, this was the right way to do it, especially if there's going to be a break in the season for MLS, though. You don't want to have your MLS fan base, myself included here, with the team coming here next season in 2025. You do not want to lose your MLS fan base when their league goes on break for the biggest stage and the biggest tournament or biggest title tournament or title game other than the Super Bowl. And I also do love, though, the fact that Mexico, Canada, and Team USA get to play their group stage games in their home countries to further, I think, just help grow the game in those three countries. Again, maybe minus Mexico, but like Canada, the U.S., as you probably already know, though. But again, folks, the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup venues were announced on Sunday. Again, out west, it'll be Inglewood, Santa Clara, Seattle, and Vancouver. In the central part of the country, Guadalajara, Mexico, Dallas, Houston, KC, Mexico City, and Monterrey, Mexico. Out east, it'll be Atlanta, Boston, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, and Toronto. The field will also expand from 32 teams to qualify to 48 teams for a total of 104 total matches during the 26 World Cup. Mexico will play their first game at home at Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, Mexico. Canada will play their first game June 12th at BMO Field in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And Team USA will play their first game on June 12th at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, in the greater LA area, with the World Cup final being held July 19th at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, in just over 2 years. And certainly, again, I think it's just a great job that is being done by FIFA for, again, putting these games for the Men's World Cup, though, in those markets again. I know it might be a bit tough to get to SoFi, though, here from San Diego with how the prices might be. Again, Team USA playing 2 of their 3 matches here in Southern California come 2026, though. But again, I do think, though, that FIFA did this right. Again, it might be very weird for us to say that to put FIFA and good job in the same sentence, knowing the baggage in their track record, much like the IOC and the Olympic Games. But they did this right. Again, maybe piggybacking off of 30 years ago when we first had the World Cup here in '94, Chicago, Pasadena, Giant Stadium, the big NFL venues. I think it's a great way to get people behind soccer, further get behind the sport here in the States, but also bring more tourism dollars from people who might travel out of country to come to the States or come to Mexico or Canada for the tournament. Again, think of like the Dutch fan base who might come from the Netherlands or Japan, Korea, just kind of thinking along those lines, though, that this will have a very great ripple effect going forward in the next couple of years. With that, folks, to topic 2. Is the NHL going to expand again, despite ongoing efforts of the Coyotes right now to build a new arena? League Commissioner Gary Bettman has expressed growing interest in expanding the league again to more locations. This was talked about during this past weekend, during the league's All-Star Weekend festivities at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. 6 new cities have come to the plate vying for an expansion franchise, and this could include Salt Lake City, Utah, Atlanta, Georgia, Cincinnati, Ohio, Kansas City, Missouri, Omaha, Nebraska, and, of course, Quebec City, Quebec, Canada. Who out there would have thought that after 2 expansions within the last 5 years in Vegas and Seattle, that now all of a sudden these other cities now come out of the closet and now want in for the NHL product? As a hockey fan, I absolutely love seeing this. To see a sport much like soccer who is growing so well in the States, that now more people are wanting to get on board for the NHL product. Now, again, the Coyotes folks are still trapped right now in their 5,000-seat arena, though they've had a tremendous season Right. I mean, they are right there right now for the Western Conference wild card race right now. They're playing some great hockey. But again, though, the sustainability right now, them playing at a 5,000 seat building in Tempe, Mullet Arena, home of ASU's hockey programs, have still, though, clouded this great run that they've been on. And it's sad because of the ongoing relocation efforts that have been made, the ongoing talk of them moving out of Arizona in their entirety. Now, there has been some other rumors here of the Coyotes going back to the drawing board to attempt a deal in Arizona. FOS reported today, perhaps somewhere in Tempe. There has now been talk of Mesa, Arizona, who could be beside for a new Coyotes arena. And I would just hope, though, that a couple of very good runs in the postseason might begin to somewhat, in a way, steer the league from moving this club out of town. Kind of in a way, folks, I think of the Coyotes' issues right now a little bit to the 1998 San Diego Padres. Now, that might be very, very off base of a team who went to the World Series and a team who has not done a lot, sadly, in their club history of over 25 years. But I say that because it was more along the lines of the ongoing issue, mainly when the Padres and Chargers were both looking for a new stadium. I mainly use the phrase of, well, what have you done for me lately? And I say that because the Padres got Petco Park built off of a World Series run in 1998. The Chargers had only gone to one Super Bowl in club history in San Diego 30 years ago, on top of the ownership issues with the Spanos family. I would hope that a long, sustained couple of playoff runs or staying in the mix for the Coyotes could be the remedy that maybe keeps that team in Arizona. Now, maybe it's also Gary Bettman being reluctant to move the club out of Arizona, where, again, it wasn't there for the Flames and Thrashers. Now, on the big board here, folks, we have those 6 markets again. Now, 5 of the 6 are confirmed, though. Quebec City has always been in the mix, though, for expansion. Let's break down all 6 real quick. Let's go to Salt Lake City first. Major development came out over the weekend about the Utah Jazz and their ownership group, and even the state governor and the state Congress saying, we want in for the NHL. I, folks, have long been on that hype train. I think you might have recalled if you joined us here on Press Row a while back. I said, clear as day, Salt Lake City would be my wild card because of how the LA Kings and Vegas Golden Knights in the league have used Salt Lake City and the Delta Center as a kind of, in a way, like a scientific test beaker. They have gone to Delta Center to play one exhibition game in the preseason called Frozen Fury. LA, Vegas, and Salt Lake City to, I believe, test the market. And I think so far it's been great. And now we're at the point now where Salt Lake City's like, hey, look what we've done here recently. We've had a couple games here. We are a winner-driven sports market with the Jazz. We can certainly host the Olympic Games again if it comes back to the States for the winter. Tourism could be great during the wintertime for people who want to come and ski and visit the Olympic Village from 2002, put a team here. It also, I think, would add a bit of a rivalry between Salt Lake and the Avalanche. Would also be a good stepping stone, though, for West Coast teams to go from Vegas to Denver on a road trip. Kind of help the travel for the Kraken as well, and for the Oilers and Flames, the Jets, even, and the Canucks coming from Western or Central Canada. So certainly I am definitely on board for Salt Lake City. Not to do this about, well, I said Salt Lake City is my wild card. I would love to see a team there. Now, though, that we have some gears being grinded here and moved. Governors on board, Jazz ownership's on board, state legislatures on board. Great winter city for sports with basketball, ski resorts, and the snow. Definitely is a perfect, I think, equation for the NHL to go to Salt Lake City. Let's go to Atlanta. Number 2 on the list, I'm still skeptical. I know on my first episode here on C2C, I said that there was plans in place for a new 18,000-seat venue for a potential third team to go to Atlanta in history. Though I know that Bill Daly came out and said we can fix those issues that we had in the past couple of times with the club. Again, I look at this from the kaleidoscope or the binoculars or the set of eyes, though, of the NBA, who put two teams in San Diego within a 5 to 7 year stretch with the Rockets and Clippers, and both teams moved out. Rockets were sold to Houston in 71, 72. Clippers came from Buffalo and moved out in 84 to go to LA. Again, would a multi-million and billion-dollar industry like the NHL want to attempt for a third time a franchise in a market who has failed twice already to support their product? That's my only concern. Though I know that there would be a new building being built, maybe easier for folks like the whole ordeal with the Coyotes, maybe moving to Mesa, staying in Tempe, or building somewhere in the city limits of Phoenix. My concern, though, is that I don't think it would work for a third time. It may be the old attitude of, well, hey, third time's a charm, though. Still, I'm a little leery. Let's go to Market 3. Cincinnati, Ohio. Great sports town. Reds, Bengals, very good Big 12 college program with the Bearcats. However, though, long-sustained minor league hockey market in the East Coast Hockey League with the Cincinnati Cyclones. Would there have to be a new arena built for the NHL to go to Cincinnati? That'd be a great rivalry, though. Cincinnati versus Columbus right away. You've got the easy travel between them and Columbus. You have travel up to Detroit to play the Red Wings. But again, though, my concern becomes the arena. Will there have to be a new NHL-specific arena built for the city of Cincinnati? I think I probably would say I'd be on board for that. Though I would hate, though, to see a very iconic minor league hockey brand, though, in the Cyclones go away, or maybe become the affiliate of the unnamed Cincinnati NHL club. But I'd be on board, though. I think it'd be great, though. Again, Midwest market, right away, instant rivalry with Columbus, maybe Pittsburgh, Detroit right away, maybe Nashville even as a rival. I think, though, as well, again, very, very well-supported East Coast Hockey League club is there. Count me in for Cincinnati. Market 4 is Kansas City, Missouri. Again, East Coast Hockey League market right now with the KC Mavericks of the East Coast ranks. I'm a little intrigued, though, by KC. Two buildings are already there. The Cable Dahmer Arena, home of the KC Comets of the MASL, and the Mavericks of the East Coast Hockey League. But then, though, you have that big, shiny T-Mobile Arena or T-Mobile Center. Been used plenty of times for, it's been used for March Madness. It's been used, I believe, too, for other big events that have gone to KC. Great rivalry right away with the Blues, if that's the case. Probably a rivalry, too, with maybe the Stars, I would even think. Count me in, too, for KC. Market 5 is Omaha, Nebraska. Interesting. Intrigued, but not fully on board. Is there a building already in place in Omaha? I believe there might be, where Creighton University maybe plays their home games for hoops and volleyball. I would probably, though, scratch out Omaha and put Houston in there as opposed to Omaha. I say Houston because just like the Jazz, I think Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Rockets, would be on board for NHL expansion to Houston. That adds a rivalry with the Stars right away. That also adds another winter time tenant for the Rockets to make money during their slow season or when they're on the road. I don't want to count Omaha out totally. But again, no major league sports team other than the Royals AAA affiliate is there with the Storm Chasers in Omaha. Not sure about the venue being in place, so I would probably scratch out Omaha and put Houston into the equation. Last but not least, Quebec City. Already had a team, the Nordiques, for a long time. Center Day Videotron is already there. Believe that there's going to be the Kings will play the Bruins, I believe, in a couple of exhibition games in Quebec City to, I think, restart the conversation since the Nordiques went to Colorado back in 95. Honestly, I am totally on board for Quebec, though, too, because just like the Nordiques leaving and the Chargers leaving, I have more sympathy for sports fans who lose a team. Chargers, Rams in St. Louis, Nordiques in Quebec, even hockey fans in Atlanta who have been supporting the Gladiators in the East Coast Hockey League or the Savannah Ghost Pirates now in the ECHL. So honestly, other than Omaha, I'm on board. Oh, actually, so other than Omaha and Atlanta, just for the fact of like Atlanta's track record over the past several years, though, with the NHL back in the day with the Flames and Thrashers, sign me up for SLC, Atlanta, Cincy, KC, Houston, and Quebec City. I just don't feel fully on board with Omaha. Not to discredit where I have family who live in Lincoln and in Omaha, or the fact I was nearly a Creighton Blue Jay when I was in college 12, 13, 14 years ago. I just wonder, though, if a sport like the NHL would go to a market with no other professional sports teams around them. AAA baseball is one thing, but like A's to Vegas, though, makes sense again. Knights, Aces, Raiders in the Sin City. Salt Lake City, the Jazz. Atlanta, I know, has the Braves and Falcons and the Hawks, though, but again, it's a market that has sadly failed twice already. Cincinnati, Reds and Bengals. KC, the Chiefs, the Royals, Sporting KC, the Current. Again, though, Omaha, AAA baseball, Nebraska Athletics, Creighton Athletics. I'm not fully on board for that. Quebec City, NHL market back in the 90s, definitely on board for that. But then you also kind of wonder, though, if you add 6 more teams, how in the world are you going to make a 38-team league work? I mean, believe me, folks, I love the ambition here by Gary Bettman to just fully take over all of North America. My goodness gracious. Going from 32 teams maybe to 38 maybe if they add 6 more teams. But now you start wondering about how are you going to realign this league? Because right now you're at 32 teams. You have 4 8-team divisions right now. I mean, this would become like the NFL on steroids if you go to 38, maybe 40 teams pretty soon. And also, again, I think that the other small concern I'd have here is about what would happen with the Coyotes. If they don't get an arena deal done, I'd say within 4 years probably, or within 6 years, does one of these markets now become home of them as a relocation or for relocating? Right now, I would think you would probably have to worry about relocation. Though I love the ambitious plan, you start with relocation, then you maybe consider expanding. Because if you start expanding to 34, 36, 38 teams, maybe a 40-team league, how are you going to make this work? I mean, believe me, I love, though, that there are now markets in place here now who are on board for hockey. Again, like I said, folks, in the last segment here about how FIFA is putting the World Cup venues in North America, mainly the U.S. and Canada, into either current NFL stadiums or cities that have NFL stadiums and with MLS clubs, though. It is about growing the game. But does the ambition become a bit too much? Because it kind of, in a way, would remind me a little bit about how the WNBA expanded so quickly, so early in its establishment after the first, 4 to 5 years, where Portland got a team, Miami got a team, and other markets got teams, and then they folded after 4, 5, 6 years. That is something that the NHL cannot afford to do. is have something like this happen. So I would think, though, again, as a hockey fan, hockey announcer, I am ecstatic seeing so many cities who want franchises. SLC, Atlanta for a third time, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Omaha, even. I'd even say Houston and then Quebec City, who had a team already. But right now, I think you would have to be very, very cautious about what you do, but also be smart about it. And also, I would think priorities would be relocating a team or teams. Sadly, right now, like the Coyotes, I would think you would have to relocate first. Then you, I think, do what you did with Vegas and Quebec City. You open up the bidding process. Before we move on, folks, I would think this. Salt Lake City is already locked in for me because they already have the governor on board, the state legislature's on board, and the arena and the ownership group of the Jazz is already on board. So those four key components are already checked off the list. That right there becomes your first market. Relocation or expansion. SLC for me is already locked in. Because you also, I think, would have to look, though, about team in Salt Lake City helps travel for the Western-based teams in Canada, would help the teams in California, would help the team, or would help out the Knights and the Avalanche. Would also, I think, and I also think, would bring tourists who are big snowboarders, big skiers, or who love wintertime fun. SLC, Winter Olympic site 2002. So those four key components, governor's on board, state legislature's on board, the arena is already there and ready to go, and also the Utah Jazz, or another tenant, is also on board. That right there puts you at the front of the line, in my opinion. So Salt Lake City, for me, is already locked in. Then I go Quebec City, number 2. Past NHL market, has the arena already in place. There is some hurdles, though. After that, I'd go Cincinnati, Kansas City, Houston, Atlanta at the very bottom of the list. With that in mind, folks, let's swap gears and head over to the ongoing discussions about what will happen for Bally Sports and Diamond Sports, who today agreed to a deal to keep 3 teams on Bally Sports RSNs for the 2024 season, striking one-year pacts with the Guardians, Twins, and the world champion Texas Rangers. The deals, though, do not include streaming rights, but are modified to involve lower fees for the teams. Diamond Sports believes that these changes will allow them to broadcast the 3 teams' profitability through the end of the 2024 season. But, of course, the plan for 2025 and beyond still is quite uncertain. Again, folks, still not a whole lot to really discuss here on this, though. I am happy, though, especially for the Rangers and their fans. Again, world champs not being on local TV would have been a very big PR nightmare. Twins, though, we're going to go away from Bally Sports North, came back, though, and were signed. Guardians, again, kept as well. But again, I still, though, folks, want to see more of this come to fruition. Because right now, I believe that right now the Padres and D-backs will still be carried right now on the MLB.TV package, along with the Rockies, who are right now out of their deal with AT&T Sportsnet Rocky Mountain. So, folks, we're going to be very brief on this topic here. So we'll keep a set of eyes on this, though, because we're still waiting, I think, to hear more teams who will be kept on Diamond Sports and on Bally for the upcoming season. Now, I will say that my dad and I have been watching the Caribbean Series games on Bally Sports West, though, to kind of get our baseball fix here. And again, I still, though, wonder how much longer this may take, though. I think I read a report again from FOS about maybe that there might be another hearing pretty soon concerning the hearing that was set to take place like early January, but got canceled because of Amazon coming into the equation and what that might mean. But again, folks, 3 teams will be kept on the Bally Sports RSN. The Guardians, Twins, and Rangers all have new one-year deals that do not include the right fees for streaming, but are being modified to involve lower fees for the teams involved. Diamond further believes that these changes will allow them to broadcast the 3 teams' profitability for the end of the 2024 season, with the plan, though, of course, beyond next season, again, is uncertain. That's where I believe, though, folks, that we kind of, again, get concerned here, though, is what's going to happen, though, at the very end of the season. and hopefully it will be Amazon, hopefully taking over for the beyond 2025 for Major League Baseball and for the NBA and the NHL. Wanting to first and foremost get to our good man, Randy Cox, who says, hello, Callan. Randy, of course, my man, good to see you as always, and thanks for being here today. With that, folks, one final story. The ever-evolving landscape of Roger Goodell being public enemy number one when it boils down to the annual State of the League's address that was canceled and moved to Monday and is only an invite only for select media members who are concerned that not everyone will be able to attend and ask the commissioner the ever-elusive tough questions. It is reported by FOS that Roger Goodell has reportedly earned about $63.9 million for the 2019-20 and 2020-21 NFL seasons, with many believing he should be expected to answer hard questions in front of the national media at the Super Bowl media availability for the State of the League address. In the past, longtime journalist Jim Trotter questioned Goodell about the NFL's lack of diversity among head coaches, front office positions, and an NFL media, catching Goodell well off guard. I think, folks, it is very fair to say Roger Goodell and Rob Manfred are probably the two most disliked commissioners in all of North American professional sports. Gary Bettman would probably be third, then Adam Silver, and then Don Garber of MLS. And I think, folks, it's been a long-running issue, I think, with the NFL front office about the commissioner being grilled by the national media when he gives a State of the League address. Again, folks, this is coming from someone who is not a big American football fan. NFL, college minus FCS football, because that's what I'm employed to do. But I do get concerned that maybe media members who Commissioner Goodell might have a vendetta against, like a Jim Trotter, for example, won't get invited to the annual State of the League address because of hard-hitting questions. I mainly think the track record of Roger Goodell and the NFL front office, for that matter, certainly, I think, brings a sense of malaise to the week leading up to the big game next Sunday in Vegas. Because every year I feel like there is some big controversy that is swept under the rug by the NFL commissioner's office every year. I mainly believe and think about the concussion issues, where we have seen players of the past who have been who have taken their own lives, who have developed Alzheimer's or dementia, and the NFL for so long underneath Tagliabue and even Goodell's watch would deny that football had any sort of long-term health effects for players who died young. I think of Gene Seau, Dave Dumerson, Steve McNair as the main three players that I really believe CTE is what killed them. And that the NFL for so long would deny having anything to do with the player developing CTE or early set Alzheimer's or ALS or dementia because of the repeated blows to the head. That's the main thing that would always upset me, though, infuriate me during the week of the Super Bowl when I was a fan of the NFL, is that, again, dodge a wrench, dodge a question. It reminds me a lot, folks, of, and I think even Awful Announcing had it in their story, it reminds you a lot of like those candidates running for office politically, where they don't want to answer the hard-hitting questions about their past, their policies, or stuff like that. But also, I think that the main reason I would even say, though, why Goodell dodges questions is I think he knows he's in deep crap. CTE has happened on his watch, again, with those players who have killed themselves in the past. Lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit involving CTE from the families of those players who died young. I would even think the relocation of both the St. Louis Rams and San Diego Chargers also plays a factor. Small factor. I would also think as well that even how the NFL is very bullish, or was bullish, how it handled Colin Kaepernick, and how it also has handled diversity in their league. Now, I think that the league has made strides, though, I'd say, with female hires when it comes to officiating crews, front office members, but still, though, it's not enough, though, in people's minds. But also, like, the fact of, like, Jim Trotter, one of the most well-known writers out there who used to cover the Gulls back here for SI back in the 90s. Again, I feel like, though, it's more of like that personal vendetta that either Goodell has against a guy like Jim Trotter or the front office in general of the NFL front office. Invite only is not how you operate things here. I believe that you should be talking about everything, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent about your league, leading up to your grand finale, the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Stanley Cup Final. And honestly, I applaud Rob Manfred for how he actually admitted issues that had got on in the past during the COVID season of 2020. I know he didn't really handle the Astros issues in 2017 the right way, but at least he said something about it and then just sweep it underneath the rug. Adam Silver is always usually taking it on the chin for the NBA. Don Garber has done that for MLS. Even Gary Bettman, who has had 2 or 3 lockouts in his tenure as the NHL commissioner, he also kind of, in a way, though, takes one on the chin for the NHL Shield. Though there has been issues, though, with the NHL recently in the news, though. 5 players being tagged for sexual assault from 2018. The bands of specialty jerseys being worn for Pride Night and Military Appreciation Night and Fight Cancer Night. Yet, though, Roger Goodell and the NFL, they don't want to fess up when they know they've screwed up. That is more along the lines of why I think that this needs to be open to every media member. Because you can't just always paint the good. You can't always talk about the positives. You have to also, I think, look at the ramifications or the, some of the stuff that did go wrong. That's why I think that the NFL for so long has just floundered and they've crumpled under the pressure from the media about how they've handled CTE, how they've handled relocating 2 teams, how they've handled Colin Kaepernick and social justice, and how they've handled some other issues on their plate. To exclude those who want to press the commissioner is not fair because you're only telling it from one set of eyes that you want the public to know about. You basically want to hide behind your corporation's logo, the shield as they call it. Sorry, Randy, not the former wrestling stable, back in the day of WWE. But this is a commissioner's office who hides behind their shield and their logo and their corporate name so damn much for my disliking of how they handle their operations. Because now you're silencing those who want to expose or at least get the commissioner to at least fess up about these issues. Why is Eric Bieniemy still not a head coach in the NFL? Are teams actually in line with the Rooney Rule when it comes down to interviewing minority candidates like Eric Bieniemy, who was let go on Monday from Dan Quinn's staff? Jim Trotter, I think, was the only guy really going to bat for those out there who wanted to know why the NFL only shows you, this much of what's going on behind closed doors. Hey, look at all the revenue we're getting from Taylor Swift. I mean, I love it personally. Female demographics going up for the NFL, sign me up. But again, it's only part of the story. And also, I think that the commissioner does not want to keep getting grilled like he's on Capitol Hill testifying about why the NFL did not do more to help Gina Seau, Dave Dumerson, Steve McNair, other players who have died very young from suicide because of the effects of the NFL for so long, never wanted to talk about when it came to CTE and brain injuries and concussions. Or how the NFL just totally ignored history of a team winning a Super Bowl in St. Louis in a city in San Diego who had 3 Super Bowls held in their hometown, and how they just left those markets high and dry because, oh no, Los Angeles needs 2 teams all of a sudden. And I think Randy's right here that pretty much that the NFL's taking away the freedom of speech away from those who want to ask those questions. Randy, very, 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 very true point. Because I think, though, it's more like this, Randy. If you can't face the music, if you can't admit when you're right, wrong, or indifferent about something, why are you even in this position of power in the first place? If you can't have thick enough skin to not let criticism of yourself or your league image get to you, then why are you even a part, or why are you even in charge of the league? It's a lot like being a referee or an official, Randy, in sports. It is a thick-skinned position, as is the commissioner's office. But I think, though, that this is not a good look for the NFL. Because I really, Randy, feel like, though, that you're right, though. There is a list out there, I'm sure, of writers and media members, podcast hosts, or radio hosts who have absolutely fried the commissioner to a crisp. And they're on like that blacklist. Sorry, you've said this about the commissioner. You can't come. Sorry, but your story from 2015 about our diversity hires and how we handle Colin Kaepernick's protests on the sidelines, you can't come to talk to the commissioner's office. Anyway, Randy, it's petty BS. It is petty BS. I agree, though, about what he said, though, Randy, about First Amendment rights, though, about freedom of speech. But again, it feels more like it's just, and I'm going to say it, it's petty bullshit. Petty bullshit. That you can pick and choose who comes to talk to the commissioner's office at the biggest American sports-based event every February, the Super Bowl. But you're only allowed to ask about the game, the season, the Chiefs, the Niners, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. That's all you can talk about. Media rights. But, Randy, you can't talk about concussions. Why Eric Bieniemy, a minority coach, was let go by a white head coach in Washington, D.C., underneath new ownership. You can't ask about the social justice movement that the NFL has been doing, or the Play 60 initiative to get kids to play to exercise for a full hour. You can't attack the commissioner for factors not involving the play on the field. You can't criticize Goodell about concussions. Why'd you move out 2 teams out of St. Louis and San Diego? Why did you not do more for Colin Kaepernick? Why do you not do more for black and minority coaches in your league to get head coaching positions? Why is there still not a female GM or a head coach or a coach somewhere in your league? Like, there's a blacklist out there, I'm sure, Randy, of like Jim Trotters who won't be able to get to that press conference because their remarks of the past are too critical for the commissioner's office. Randy Ferber says, and I agree as well, the higher the position of power, the more positive and negative comments happen. And if a person cannot take the criticism, good or bad, no reason to be in that position. Again, Randy, that's why I think that I have applauded Rob Manfred, the baseball commissioner. Yeah, he's had his fair shares of hiccups and mishaps. But I think, though, I've heard him admit, though, that he got it wrong when it boiled down to the Astros in 2017 with the cheating scandal, how they handled the COVID season in 2020, where they had teams who were out partying and going to strip clubs, and they almost did not make it all the way through the full season. But he at least admits it when he's wrong. Yeah, Gary Bettman's had lockouts. They really haven't done a whole lot recently other than trying to ban pride tape for LGBTQ plus rights on player sticks with the rainbow colored tape. They've done away with especially jersey nights for like Hockey Fights Cancer, Military Appreciation Night, gay rights, and stuff like that. But again, though, Randy, the difference between Gary Bettman, Adam Silver, Dan Garber, and Rob Manfred, they at least acknowledge when they're wrong. They don't put like a personal vendetta out there against a journalist or a podcast host or a radio host who says that they got some, or who says that the commissioner's office should have done this differently. I mean, look at what Adam Silver in the NBA has done. He literally banned a owner about a decade ago, maybe longer. He fined an owner $2.5 million and banned that owner for owning a franchise because he made racial remarks about two NBA legends in Elgin Baylor and Magic Johnson. I don't think Roger Goodell would have done that. Do I need to have any more proof than look at how long it took Roger Goodell to force Dan Snyder to sell the Commanders, to change the name, to get him out of power? Again, a lot of things could have been done really differently here for Roger Goodell. Concussions, moving the Rams and Chargers out of St. Louis and San Diego, doing better for Colin Kaepernick and for minorities out there, coaches, players alike, GMs even, front office personnel. The toxic issues with the Commanders franchise for so long underneath the Snyder ownership group. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, of skeletons in the NFL's closet. But to sit here, though, and exclude media members from asking you hard-hitting questions about how your league is operating, yet you want to only focus on the Super Bowl, the revenue coming in from TV, the revenue from Taylor Swift's fan base because of her dating Travis Kelce, the ongoing issues, too, of a rigged game because of Taylor Swift being a spy for the American government, apparently, is what I've also heard. Again, it can't all be, it can't all be roses and chocolates and, and champagne and cheese boards being laid out. You got to talk about the dirty laundry and the clothes hamper. And again, there's been a lot of pressing issues here that I would love to hear more about from Roger Goodell, other than just the media rights are where they are. We love having Taylor Swift coming to our games. We have a great game coming up. I get that. But why is Eric Bieniemy being let go by the Commanders as of Monday because of a white head coach coming in and not retaining a minority coach on the coaching staff who should already have had a head coaching job somewhere already? Bad look for the NFL. It's a very, 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 very bad look. And to not let reporters get their say in, or at least grill the commissioner. Again, I know that you don't want to turn this into a U.S. Congress hearing, as we have seen, though, about Goodell going in front of Capitol Hill and getting roasted like chestnuts on an open fire about concussions back in the day after Junior Seau was killed and Dave Dumerson killed himself. I get you don't want to have that publicity around this event when the grand finale is coming up next Sunday. But again, you have to point out, you have to have checks and balances in place to keep the commissioner's office in place, though, about, yeah, I love Taylor Swift coming to your games, Mr. Commish, but hey, why again is a black coach out of a job with your club in D.C. because of a new coach who's white being hired, coming in and firing the whole staff? That's more of where I think there's that personal vendetta when it boils down to who's allowed to come to this event. Again, folks, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, his annual press conference has been moved up from Wednesday to today. It is a invite only, and some media members are concerned that not everyone will be able to attend and ask tough-hitting questions. Hey, if you're getting paid $64 million, reportedly, to be the commissioner of the iron fist ruler of the American sports fandom, other than your host of this podcast here in San Diego, California, who lost his team in 2017 because of greed by the NFL and the ownership group for the big bad market of Los Angeles, California, then I have every right to ask you a hard-hitting question about why did you take a potential Super Bowl market city in San Diego, who had 3 games hosted here with great finishes, who had the first African-American quarterback win Super Bowl MVP in Doug Williams here in '88. Why did you leave our market? Why did you not step in and help San Diego build a new stadium or help the Rams, who won a title there in '99? You did not do enough to keep those 2 cities who could have been Super Bowl venues because you saw the media market up in Los Angeles, who did not have a team for 20 years. And you saw that as a greener pasture, where literally there are reports that you, Goodell, the commissioner, forced the Chargers to hire Jim Harbaugh because that team is an utter embarrassment because they left this market in San Diego and they have no fans whatsoever. I should be, as a media member, be able to ask you those questions. Yet, though, because of what I just said here, if I ever work a Super Bowl, I won't be able to go because they can look back on this and say, well, you criticized Roger Goodell. It's almost in a way like it feels like criticizing the dictator of a total authoritarian country. You know, I kind of get that vibe here. That if you say one bad thing about the commissioner in the NFL, you're excluded, though, from getting press credentials for any game, preseason, regular season, playoffs, or the Super Bowl. If you cannot have checks and balances and be able to, again, wear it on the chest that, yes, you've had a great year. You've had great increases in female viewership because of Taylor Swift dating Travis Kelce. You know, you have everything going great, but why can't we ask you for why is your league lacking when it comes to minority coaches getting let go or not getting hired for a high-ranking position as a head coach, for example? You know, are teams in line with the Rooney Rule? You know, relocation. I just would like to see more of that come out. And again, if you cannot wear it on the chest, if you cannot admit your own faults, what does that say, though, about you as a person and also your league as a whole? If you only show, again, half the story, where, again, you're talking about only the great things that have happened, but he can't say, but we also made a mistake here. We screwed up here. I just want to see more accountability being shown by the commissioner of every sport, mainly, though, the NFL. Because, again, having known about what's happened or what had happened again with the lives of Steve McNair and Junior Seau and Dave Dumerson, the reports about name eludes me from the 85 Steve McMichael, his health really going down the drain. Again, there's a lot of things in the NFL's closet that need to be brought out and talked about. And again, if you're only going to invite certain media members to be a cheerleader for your league and wave pom-poms and rally towels about how great of a year it was for the league front office when it boils down to revenue and Swifties becoming NFL fans and whatnot, it's a very bad look for your league. It's a even worse look for the number one most consumed sport in all of the American sports fandom, other than here in San Diego, California, and in St. Louis, Missouri. much like how Seattle, for so long, has despised the NBA. Again, folks, that is why I am not a big fan of the NFL. It goes to a point I brought up here a while back, I think. Why should somebody in the market of San Diego, California, or even St. Louis, Missouri, when you spent your entire life casually or live and die with the Rams and Chargers, why should these two markets give a flying crap about the NFL product? Because that sport left those two markets. That's why Sunday, I'm not even going to watch the game. I may watch Usher perform at halftime, but I'm not going to spend 4 hours of my Sunday sitting on the couch watching the NFL. I'll probably watch old baseball games on YouTube or Forensic Files on loop on Hulu. But I'm not going to waste 4, 5, 6 hours of my day watching the NFL product on Sunday. Because again, why should I tune in and support a league who sat on their ass and did absolutely nothing to keep a franchise in a market of San Diego who was here for 56 damn years and let them bolt to the biggest rival of San Diego sports in Los Angeles? Or let the St. Louis Rams, who were Super Bowl champs in 99, leave their market because of stadium issues and go to LA. It's a lot like Seattle basketball fans. They can root for the Storm. They sell out WNBA games in Seattle. But trust me, I think if I was to ask any of my friends in Seattle or from Seattle who played basketball here at Point Loma Nazarene or at USD, they really don't care for the NBA. And if they do, they root for the Lakers because they love LeBron James. What does that say when the 8th largest city in North America by population in San Diego, California, resents the NFL? What does that say to the NBA when one of the biggest port cities and airline hubs in the entire country in Seattle, Washington, hates your product? What does it say about Oakland? They've lost the NBA. They've lost Major League Baseball. They've lost the NFL. They hate 3 different league front offices. And they probably also hate their city government and even probably hate the ball clubs. And I agree with Randy. Makes no sense why teams moved in the first place. They did so well in their old markets. I agree. So in case you're wondering why I hate the NFL so much or why I dislike the product, folks, that's why. This city devoted 56 years of loyalty to a cheap-run organization. And the NFL, though, would help out the Chargers and Rams move to L.A. But yet they sat on the sidelines and sat on their ass and didn't do one damn thing to help St. Louis and San Diego out. The Rams were probably going to work regardless. They already had the track record in Los Angeles and in Orange County. The Raiders would have easily been the better option. But then the Chargers going up to L.A., no. When that happened, folks, I checked out. And that's why on Sunday I'll be watching old hockey games or baseball games or watching Hulu and Netflix during that 3:30 time slot for the Super Bowl and not giving a crap if the Niners win or the Chiefs win. I'll talk about it, though, on Monday if I'm not busy on the 12th. I'll talk about where the ratings were at and how much everyone paid for an ad in a halftime show. But I won't really care if the Chiefs win again or the Niners win for the first time in 30 years. Because, again, it's not on my radar because of how this league treated my hometown and treated the great people of St. Louis, Missouri. Which goes into my point, though. That would put me on, the excluded list of going to the NFL's State of the League address. Because I ripped the commissioner's office for sitting on their ass and hands to not help out San Diego 8th largest city by population in the entire country. Other than today and this week, it's raining and pouring, but there's sunshine year-round. Great tourist town for NFL fans to come to. They chose to not get involved in San Diego or St. Louis to keep those two teams there. That's just part of my despisement of the NFL. Players dying young because of CTE and the NFL ignoring it. The issues plaguing diversity hires, as Jim Trotter put out a while back, where head coaches, among head coaches and front office personnel. It's a long laundry list. There's a lot of skeletons, as I said, folks. There's a lot of skeletons right now in that closet of the NFL that someone out there, I hope and pray, will kind of, in a way, stick their neck out and grill the commissioner on a lot of these issues I've been talking about here today on the program. Because I'm very tired, and I think we all are tired collectively, of only hearing one side of a story. Yeah, we'll talk about how great the ratings are and how great it is having Taylor Swift being a fan of the Chiefs and of Travis Kelce as a boyfriend and girlfriend. We're not going to talk about the fact, though, that Eric Bieniemy lost his job with the Commanders and that we still lack diversity hires across the NFL product. We can't have it both ways. We have to talk about good, bad, ugly, and indifferent issues when it boils down to stuff happening in these leagues. Where, again, Rob Manfred earns a bit more respect, in my opinion, because at least he has gone out there and said, yeah, we screwed up the 2017 Astros scandal. Yeah, we did this wrong. We did that wrong. That's more along the lines of why baseball, why hockey, why basketball, and why soccer, take my priority over the NFL product for a lot of those reasons. Before we get out here for the day, folks, Randy Cox first asks, Callan, did tourism go down a little after the Chargers left town? I know the Chargers was one reason for the tourism, was just curious. In a way it did, Randy, but with the Padres, though, now it's kind of been, in a way, not fully recouped, but pretty damn close to it now with baseball. Again, big influx of Dodger fans come to games here in San Diego. Giants fans when the Giants play the Padres. The Yankees or Red Sox when they come to town. Angel fans when they play the Padres in interleague play. But I would say, Randy, it dipped for a bit, though. Like, I'd say the first maybe 2 years probably when the team left San Diego, but I think it's been kind of recouped pretty nicely, I'd say, now with the Padres being competitive, and now, again, Dodger fans here. And I think, though, Randy, as well, when you live in San Diego like I do, the simple fact, though, too, of this being a very big military town and transient town, I am part of a dying breed of born and raised San Diegans. So, in perspective, Randy, you could come to us to a Gulls game, the American Hockey League team for the Ducks here in San Diego. You can come to one of my games here that I announced for here with the AHL, and you can see a whole variety of hockey jerseys. Blackhawks, Flyers, Penguins, all the West Coast teams. On top of, though, again, Gulls and Ducks fans who live in San Diego. But we have a very good mix, though, of hockey fans who have been, who have moved out here for the military. Their job moved them out here, and they still love their hometown teams. And I love seeing it, though, because it's cool, I think, to get that perspective, though. But I would say, Randy, it did go down for a bit when the Chargers did leave town. But I think it's been recouped, though, with the Padres. And again, all the Dodger fans who live here and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. With that, folks, great to be back with you here today. We will, though, see you folks back here again Wednesday afternoon at around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Back here again on Coast to Coast Entertainment. A big thank you to Randy and Steve Eicher. Steve wrote in saying that he loves the show. Great to hear that. Again, providing you folks some of the big stories of the day when it boils down to sports media and sports business. With that, again, folks, we'll see you back here again on Wednesday. We will also, again, folks, keep you updated here once more 2 shows coming your way later tonight. Later tonight on this Monday, we'll have the Immaculate Grid at roughly 9:30 or 9 o'clock, leading you into Bro Code at 10 o'clock today back here inside of the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. With that, again, folks, we'll see you back here again later today, and we'll see you again back here on Wednesday. Till next time, have a good day.